Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Julius Tillery. I can call him a friend, a little brother. And he's a remarkable farmer representing one of the oldest Black farms in America. And he's not only a dedicated, what I would call a steward of the land, but he is also an accomplished economist. So got his degree from UNC Chapel Hill. He's an entrepreneur, in which you're going to hear about his efforts, but he's going to be bringing valuable insights into this agriculture session that we're having today, which is truly focused on how do we democratize soil and understanding that everyone has access to the resources to be able to nourish not just the economy, but also their communities. So we want to make sure that we have an open mind coming into this conversation where you're able to look at agriculture in a very different way that can lead towards what I would say sustainable practices as well as intergenerational and generational wealth. Our host today is none other than Dwayne Matinde. He's a first-year student and a vital member at HSCF. He's part of the marketing team. And he's going to guide the conversation on this session so that you can maximize and everybody can kind of mind into understanding what farming is and all the different careers, how technology impacts it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Dwayne to kick this off with our session with Julius Tillery.
Good day, everyone. Good day to our viewers at home. My name is Dwayne Matinde. As Ms. Tina already introduced, I am a first-year student at the University of the Western Cape, pursuing a bachelor in finance. And today I'm really glad to be hosting this session in which we'll be taking a deep dive into agriculture and also peeking into the mind of Mr. Tillery, getting to know as much information that he knows about the sector and more about informing us today. Good day, Mr. Tillery. Is it morning that side, I'm sure? So it would be good morning. So I just wanted to kick this off by asking you, how did black cotton come about?
Thank you for the question. That's a great question. How did black cotton come about? Sorry, y'all, I'm not dressed up today. I'm doing multiple things. This is harvest season, so I'm very busy. But I definitely want to see you all. About was 2016. My father and grandfather and I was raising cotton, and I'm a lifelong cotton farmer, fifth generation cotton farmer. And what I was wondering, getting into my late 20s, was wondering how do I make more money off my family farm? How do I add value to my family farm? Like, I grew up in a poor rural area as a family farm, somebody who farms, for a career, and not for a career, but I was doing farming mostly as a chore for my family. I didn't really see the business of it. I just understood that it was something to take care of our family farm and how we pay our taxes. And as I grew up as a farmer, I actually didn't like, being known and associated with farming. Like, it was my little dirty chore. I looked at farming the same way I looked at cutting grass, washing dishes, and doing household chores. And what I realized before I started Black Cotton business was that I didn't want to be a sad farmer the rest of my life. I didn't want to look down upon myself as someone that not worthy of being appreciated or being looked down upon. In the farming industry at the time, it was typically known that farmers made poor incomes. They didn't make a lot of money. They was usually poorly educated. And that wasn't my case. I actually graduated from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It's a great institution in America. So what I wanted to do was just change how people looked at farming, because the farmers that I knew were some of the smartest, brilliant people that I knew, some of the most hardworking, dedicated members to their communities. And I wanted people to see that. So what I first thought I should do is look at the crop that we're raising on our farm and change how people looked at it. And that started with me first, but then once I realized the value of what raising cotton was to me and my family, I wanted to share with people actually true stories and real meaning behind being a farmer. And it's not just working for the white man or slaving for someone else, but actually being empowered to be a pillar in your community and add value. Like, create jobs, create products that people can be proud of. So that's what I wanted to do with Black Cotton, and that's the origin story of it.
Chapel Hill. So how did you integrate your degree and what you learned into the founding of Black Cotton and changing the whole landscape?
That's a great question. Agriculture is a macro industry. It's big business. In the state of North Carolina, agriculture is the #1 industry. That's the state I live in, and it's bigger than the number 2 and 3 industries combined together, which is hospitals and military. Everybody eats. So, understanding the value, like really understanding the wholesale price values of cotton and trying to figure out how to make micro, decisions that can add value to the cotton. Value add is a big thing in agriculture. So what I wanted, economics helped me understand the marketplace, not just, locally, but nationally and internationally. So having an economics degree helped me understand these micro economic factors that affects everything in the industry, and it allowed me also to be able to find my niche that separated me from other farmers, and and helped me find my place of where I can be distinguished as a cotton farmer. With my brand Black Cotton, we're becoming a well-known brand across the nation. However, literally, I'm the smallest cotton farmer that I know. And typically people don't think that I'm a small cotton farmer because of the size of my brand. But that's just me understanding how to utilize this brand to create value that people don't even know exists. So that's how economics really helped me.
Okay, amazing. So, in you saying that the size of your farm compared to others isn't that big, and yet you were able to transform it into a lucrative business, what advice would you give to the farmers out there that actually do have the big capacity and land to do whatever with it?
Well, there's typically countries or more of cotton. And what I would say to a bigger farmer is sometimes you got to find the efficiencies. Because a big farmer, a 10 or 20 cent drop in cotton prices can literally affect their paycheck and how they live their life the rest of the year. But this land, sometimes you have to find
Hi, Julius.
value. Yes.
Hi, Julius. Your sound is a bit pixelated.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
I think if you're driving, it might get a little bit better if you move past the location that you're in.
Okay, it's about to get better. Can you hear me now?
I think it's sounding a little bit better. So yeah. So if you can repeat from the top.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes. So sometimes the larger farmers, they can a small price drop can really change how their bottom line, their profits for the year. And what I would like to say is larger farmers need to find products of what they grow and find something they can add value, value added that can give them the efficiency in their farm. Too many of our farms is too large and inefficient. And what we have to do in this world of sustainability is find efficiency. Like how do you make 1 acre of your farm worth more money? You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to, do things to become larger farmer, how do you make each acre, each half of acre, each quarter of an acre more profitable? Because there's a lot of money that is being lost in inefficiency.
Yes, and how with Black Cotton and your farm, do you practice any sustainable agricultural practices that help in agri-tech and climate change, basically?
Yes. One thing we specifically do is we use no-till practices. With that ensures that our soil keeps more nutrients inside of it instead of us tilling up some of the nutrients and letting our soil lose those nutrients that it gains over the year. That's one tool we use. Not only does black cotton grow cotton, but I'm known for growing collard greens and salad greens that I sell in my community. So, even with the value that I add with brand awareness, I also try to create understanding of the value of healthy foods. So I do a lot of tours. I educate people on agriculture, more than just cotton, but agriculture in general. So, growing healthy foods sustainably is another part that I help my community with in regards with my business as well.
That's truly amazing. And speaking about you having a family farm that has been passed on for generations over, I'm sure your family and other families in the area have uh, traditional knowledge and practices that you all have been doing for generations over. And how do you think those practices that you've been implementing for generations, how can you implement that into the development of modern sustainable agriculture?
It's funny you say that. A lot of people in my community, they always ask us, why do our greens taste so much better than other greens? And I like to tell people that we do things the old school way. We hand plant all of our transplants and work out. We make beds, and then we work the beds in our soil and plant a lot of our products by hand. Some of the bigger farmers, they use tractors to plant seeds and to plant their transplants, but typically not giving that individual attention to these plants, it hurts the quality of them. I can't fully explain all the science behind it, but I know that working our plants um, in an old school way where we're handling with our hands and by foot instead of using tractors, it gives us a better quality product, and the people can actually taste the difference.
It just brought up a picture into my head that when you're actually using your hands to sow these seeds, you just planting them with love. Maybe that's why it tastes better. I'm sure that can be a theory as well. And
Absolutely.
so in regard to sustainable agriculture, how can it be made economically viable for small scale farmers? I'm talking in particular to the policies and incentives that are present for farmers and people that do want to pursue agriculture.
Well, I definitely believe sustainable agriculture is important for us because the healthier the food that we plant and the healthier we work our lands and environments, the healthier our people will be. We have to focus on creating healthy products. And sometimes in conventional ag, we try to get to the yield where we're thinking that we're feeding the world. However, think about how much food waste is happening. If you make good products and you create good food products that people will eat, we'll waste less. And in that less waste, we'll have less carbon emissions. It would be a lot of issues that we would have that we wouldn't have if we would waste less food. Even in transporting all this food, if we're wasting half of it, all of the emissions that go into the air from trucks and transporting the food, we could save on some of this pollution just by making better products that people will eat instead of us constantly building this cycle of food waste that goes into landfills that create carbon issues.
Mm-hmm. Musha's question to you is she's recently heard of natural disasters that have been taking place in the US. Also, I'm sure in Carolina, the event that happened. Do you think that this will pose any problems for your farm soon, or has it happened already? What implications has that had on your farm?
Well, luckily from the last hurricane, my area was spared in many ways. The Hurricane Helene, Helena was in Western North Carolina terribly in this catastrophe level event. However, we are not escaping climate change. Climate change has created smaller planting windows and smaller harvesting windows, and it's also created more advanced and worse storms in general. Like when it rains now, it rains harder. That hurts our, ability for our crops to grow. Like even with some of our salad greens that we just planted and for the fall, they was drowned by the hurricane Helene. So it definitely affects us farmers. It's affecting how we plant, how we harvest, what time we have to get the job done. So, climate change is definitely affecting all farmers. Even if you're spared by this storm, who's to say the next storm is going to spare you? We live right off on the coast, near the coast of North Carolina. We have been affected by hurricanes in the past. We're still affected by some of the damage of hurricanes 20 years ago, with in regards to barns being torn down. When a barn is torn down, it's hard to replace. And sometimes you build up and a storm can tear it down really quickly. So farmers have to be aware of the climate change because it's affecting us and our bottom lines and how we prepare to make better crops in the future.
So, in regards with your cotton, have you been able to type of build resistance within the agriculture systems that you use for your farming methods?
A great thing we have in America is our biotech companies. While GMOs get a bad rep for supposedly affecting our environment, there are many things that they do well in regards to performance of our crops. It's a catch-22 where you're gonna take the good with the bad. Some things it's said that may be hurting the environment, may also create good quality crops that help support human life in general. So these chemicals that we spray on our crops ensures that the crops are safe, that we don't deal with too much pest damage, and pest damage can eat up a whole crop. And then you planted that, it did all that work. God gave you the rain, but our pests can eat it all up. So there are certain pesticides that we use that can help keep our crops safe from being destroyed from insects.
Perfect. So, as a young person such as myself, I'm also considering in the later future of also taking ownership of land and starting my agricultural journey. How would you encourage young people that do want to do this to start, and where should they start? How do they get into the agriculture landscape?
One thing I would first start doing is just go on Instagram or social medias and follow farmers. Follow farmers that are in your local community. Follow farmers that look like you. Follow farmers that have similar interests as you. Learning from those farmers and what they present to you is a good start. The second thing I would do is try to start a small garden. You know, Before you can get into full-fledged farming, I think starting a garden and understanding the life process of plants can give you a real good understanding of what it means to be responsible for growing a plant. Because once you build up that energy of responsibility of growing plants, you just grow from there.
There's another question that's in the
Chat
chat.
room. I'm trying to read it right now. So this is also a question from Boucher again. Let me.
I've seen the question. You
Okay,
want me to
so
directly answer it?
her
Okay,
question
sorry.
to you is, okay, so are you involved in any projects or collaborations with farms or farmers in South Africa or in Africa in general?
Well, right now, I'm not working in any projects in Africa right now, but I definitely have people in my network that I work with that works directly with Africa. There's a company called Seed to Shirt that's based out of California, and I think they have a new location in North Carolina now. But started by Tamika Peoples. I consult and give her information that I could share and on her journey, but she's working closely with Africa, and that's someone I know that's working closely that I work with that works in Africa.
talking about collaborations and partnerships, what role do partnerships between the farmers, government, and NGOs and the private sector play in advancing agriculture and also sustainable agriculture?
I think partnerships is a great thing. Everything in agriculture is so expensive, and it's not just expensive financially. It's expensive in regards to how much resources, in regards to connectivities, that the farmer should have. In today's current world, a farmer should have NGO friends, should have government friends, should have private business friends, because it takes all of those things to be successful.
Hi, Julius. Okay, so this is Tina. So look, you've said quite a few things that's vitally important. I want to circle back when you talk about efficiency. So it's two things: one, efficiencies, and two, just the whole outlook on just our younger generation, and quite frankly, just anyone. But what are some efficiencies that mid and large farming companies can do to help reduce waste and to help reduce the greenhouse gases that you see from your level?
Well, one thing I didn't bring up is, if you're a young farmer in 2024, we have to be able to create and sell our own products. You know, there's a lot of most farmers traditionally work with brokerages, and I'm not saying that brokerages are all bad, but we have to be able to sell our own products. It's important that we educate ourselves and build ourselves up in a way that we can sell our own products. And one efficiency is we're giving away too much money for other people to sell our products that we can sell ourselves. That's one thing. You know, if you're on the internet right now on a Zoom call and we're talking to people all across the world, why can't you talk to people to sell your own products? Like, we should be able to create our own clientele, database, and we should be able to reach our own customers without the help of anyone. Now, it helps that we can have other people helping us sell products, but one thing we should all do is sell some of our own products.
So, so if I can just interject really quickly. I know within North Carolina and definitely within the United States, you have Black Farmers Associations, you have these Black collectives or just farming collectives. What organizations or what would you see as being a viable solutions in for in-use products to be, I would say, either whether it's co-branded or just co-sponsored or just anything to be able to reach the masses, because small businesses across the board, they're suffering right now. So what would you see as being a good collective solution?
One solution, it's a thing where we sell CSAs, community supported agriculture. We have to be able to create communities that people know exactly what we're doing and support us on the early end so that we can be able to make profits. Brokerages typically make the most, they make so much off of farmers because they have so much that they're handling that they can accept products that farmers feel like will go to waste. But we have to be able to create community-supported agriculture networks and groups that we can sell our products before they're even ready. That is something that's going to be able to help our community early. And also, specifically, identity-based marketplaces. Black farmers markets is very important. Our Black farmers should not be competing with white farmers at the marketplace every time. We have to be able to create our own communities where people want to support us and who look like us and buy our products specifically from us. Because when you go in a grocery store, not many of these products that we buy from grocery stores are grown by Black farmers. It's hard to get into grocery stores. However, if we can create our networks together, all our farmers come together and say, hey, we're going to create a marketplace where people can come and buy directly from us, that helps support our communities better than these big companies that's just taking our products and utilizing the best parts and wasting other parts and giving us a cheap price.
So I think that's a good point to make. And the fact that, well, thank you for giving us some people that we can go out to on social media, Instagram and Facebook, to be able to follow. But also, I think technology technology shouldn't be an inhibitor. It should be an enabler for us to be able to create communities, whether it's within our state, within our country, or transatlantically. There's a lot of information and knowledge that can be gained. Oh, I forgot the question that I was going to ask. I wanted to ask about the efficiency. Oh, we were talking about the youth. What would you say would be a myth to dispel around farming, so it can be attractive for the youth? And I would say right now, some of the things that you did say, talking about the dirty secret, the dirty farming secret that you had, I think we play in our heads, and we also, unfortunately, social media and others, they make it seem as if you are a farmer, or if you farming, or if you grow your own fruits and vegetables. I know back in the day when I was growing, it was like, oh, well, you don't have enough money to be able to go into the store to buy it. But now we're seeing the toxicity and the level of the poor quality of food that's in the grocery stores today. So now it has turned into something where even in our backyards, if you're growing your farm, it's considered to be cool. But wanting to get out of that trend, what are some things that we would need to dispel or relearn, so that we can look at agriculture as being accretive to our health as well as to our bank account?
One myth is if you're raising crops, that the value of those crops is so small that you're going to be poor. Typically, if you're raising healthy crops and good products, you're going to get a better value for your products than the big farmer. Like wealthy people like naturally raised things. You're going to build your network up just being a trusted farmer in the community. Farmers are some of the most trusted people in the communities these days, like through surveys and whatnot, like one of the most trusted professions. If you are a good farmer and you educate people on what you do, you will be well networked to be able to talk and connect with some of any and everybody. Just like tomorrow, I'm meeting with the Vice President of the United States. Literally got a call and said that she wants to meet with me. Being a trusted farmer in your community will build your net worth just in people trusting you and knowing that you have a valuable product.
Yes, so I'm glad that you did bring that up. So folks, I thank you for, so Julius Tillery, that we are blessed to have on our call today. He's going to have a private meeting with several other farmers, with Vice President Kamala Harris, who's also running to be President of the United States. And she's campaigning and talking about the importance of small businesses. And Julius not only is a Black farmer from a legacy of farmers, one of the few within the United States, and one of the very few within North Carolina, but he's also a small business, which is Black cotton. So Julius, when you look at the conversation, so kudos to that. Good luck on the conversation tomorrow. So when you look at the conversations that you're going to be having tomorrow, the conversations that you've had throughout, what has been measures taken to improve Black farmers? And let me just set this up by letting everyone know, within the United States, at the turn of the century, we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had over 1 million Black farmers. And today we have less than about 33,000, and still getting far less of the money that is required economically for them to be able to survive. And many of them are on the brink of being shut down, losing their farms. So Julius, what are some of the things that you think would be the rallying cry, the key messages in which you're going to be delivering to the Vice President tomorrow that can be helpful for Black farmer survival?
I definitely feel like Black farmers need help with gaining infrastructure. You know, more farmers need better barns. We need better equipment. And you know, there's been lawsuits to the USDA that Black farmers have settled with in the past, but there's still this issue where Black farmers are not receiving operating funds, and we don't have the same quality of equipment compared to our white counterparts. And I believe the future of the success of the farmers that still exist is us being able to have the infrastructure to be able to reach our customer bases that we can be able to grow now.
How
You know,
many?
barns. Huh?
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but so statistically, so I gave the number statistically, but Julius, based on your opinion, how many viable Black farmers do we have in the United States and in the state of North Carolina?
I mean, that number sounds about accurate. And you know, it's we're in an industry that's trying to feed the world. You know, so 33,000 Black farmers is really not a lot. You know, when
No,
you're
it's
talking
not.
about feeding 7 billion people and clothing 7 billion people in the world, it is not a lot. So, you know,
But the
I think
problem is we had 1 million, and
we
now we're
had a million.
down to that number, and so that I mean, it's staggering. The loss that have happened, not just of the farmers themselves, but the millions of acres that have been lost. So now you're
Mhm.
impacting generational wealth as well
Absolutely.
as well as the health. We do have a question, Dwayne. Sorry, you know, I love farming. My family grew up on a farm. So I do have 2 more questions after Carbell, but Carbell has a question. I don't know if you want to read that, or
Okay.
Carbell, you want to come out of hiding so you can ask it.
So sorry. I'm just trying to my laptop was
That's
just
fine.
thank you so much. So Mr. Tillery, the question that I have for you, you know, since the topic about government and you know the state has been involved, do you think that there is enough government support to help small and medium scale farmers? And you know, how can the government also better help small and medium scale farmers? Because Mistina also mentioned the number of farmers that started and then how it has decreased across the year. So that's pretty much where my question comes from. Do you think there's enough support, and how can the government better help small and medium scale farmers? Thank you.
Personally, I believe there's a lot of support available for farmers in regards to resources. However, the allocation of those resources is what's important. Farmers typically get our operating loans and help from the government way too late. And I still feel like there's too many government officials and people who represent the government, like the USDA, that has biases that work against small Black farmers and producers, that needs to be eliminated so that we can be able to work together better. There's too many times where government officials are doubting our Black farmers, or putting in bad recommendations. And what we need to do is make sure that our government officials know about the resources available and get those resources to the Black farmers as best as possible. That's why these government officials need to be diverse, people that can understand the backgrounds and can communicate clearly, and understand and build relationships where trust can be built, where these farmers can utilize these resources. A lot of times Black farmers do not want to work with the government because they're afraid that the government is going to hurt them in some way. And that's something that has to constantly be worked on to be built. These relationships can be built better.
No, I think those are good points. And I think just looking at technology or anything, technology, energy, agriculture, having that sense of diversity and having people to be able to trust your solution and your ability of being able to deliver is important. And just for everyone to know, you can even go out specifically within the United States. there was a verdict that had been ruled on in which the USDA is paying, I think it's $2 billion, Julius, to farmers because of they had found that they were negligent or held responsible for not dispersing capital to Black farmers. So you can go and Google and get more insight and information around that. Elijah has a question. Elijah? Elijah, if you can
Hello.
come off of mute. Okay,
Sorry.
great.
First of all, Mr. Tillery, I've been following you for a very long time now, and to get to talk to you and ask you to pick your mind is amazing. But my question is, what do you believe has caused this dearth of Black farmers in the United States as a whole, or just in particular?
I missed the word of what you just, can you repeat one more time?
What do you believe has caused the dearth of Black farmers in the United States?
The stress or growth? What did you say?
The diminishment of Black farmers in the United States.
Oh, okay, got you. Thank you. That's a great question. It's a multitude of things. One, farming has become so expensive right now. That's one thing. Second thing, you know, you have youth education around agriculture. With more people trying to prepare for college, get into college, vocational education has decreased tremendously. You know, we've put a lot of focus on preparing our young people for SATs and ACTs to get into college, but we need to prepare young people to understand how to work on farm equipment, how to utilize equipment to, you know, best serve their land. And that's something that's not being taught enough. It's starting to, you know, get some more emphasis in the community college level, but I feel like there's not enough young people that's getting an early understanding of the importance of agriculture, how to work efficiently in agriculture, and even how to communicate themselves and network in agriculture. I think there's too many people being sent.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, y'all. I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's okay.
I think there's too many people that's being prepped to go to college does not really want to go to college. And it's nothing wrong with wanting to go to college. It's that you have to be prepped to understand the value of college that's going to help you sustain land. That's the problem. You know, a lot of times our education in college, they're preparing us to work desk jobs or 9-to-5 jobs at a computer, but we need to be able to build our young people up to understand how to work for themselves, create products and value for their products, and how to communicate to distribute these products. So I know I said a lot there, but
No,
I think
I think I think what you said is important, and not to you know, interject my experiences in it. As I said, you know, I grew up on a farm and farm adjacent as well. My entire family have been in farming in some capacity. And I can tell you, I've always told people, if it is important to continuously be in a state of education or a state of learning, whether you go to a 4-year institution or a 2-year institution, but continue to build skills. But those lifelong skills that we talk about, as you say, we all have to eat. So understanding how to grow your own food. You can also save money versus going out. We like going to those nice restaurants, I know. But I can tell you this, the food that you grow at home and you make at home, it also helps with your health and your wallet. So Carbell has a question about, so Carbell, I'll let you ask your question, but I think it's so important. So look, just to wrap up, see, the older you get, you lose your train of thought. But I can, just one quick story. I remember when I was going off to university, and I think it was my 3rd year, and Julius and everyone, I had to go to the grocery store to buy fruits and vegetables. And I didn't really know how to do that, because when I walked in, it looked very different from what we grew at home. And then it tastes very different than any of the potatoes, whether it was white potatoes, sweet potatoes, or any of the collard greens, mustard. Everything the taste was very different than everything that we had made. So I don't know if it was the practice of the love in which we had given to each plant, because we had to take care of that garden, and we had a massive garden. I mean, that was all I did during the summertime, if we didn't go to our relative's home. So and I've always told people, if I'm not, I will always be able to eat, because I know how to farm. That's a lifelong skill, which ties to Carbell, your question.
Thank you so much, Messina. Mr. Tillery, in your previous statement, you were mentioning that agriculture education is not being introduced early enough in the education system. So my question is, how early do you believe that the agriculture education should be introduced? Do you think it's on high school level, junior high level? What is your opinion on that topic? Thank you.
Great question. I believe that there's value in young people as early as elementary school learning the value of farming and agriculture. I was going to say, when I was growing up as a youngster in primary school, no one ever said that I could be a farmer. And that's what my dad and my grandfather did, and my great-grandfather. I was always told you could be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, anything else but a farmer. And to bring up the ideal of being a farmer, it's like, oh, that's silly. They don't make any money. But instead, we need to value the importance of farming, not just financially, but for our environment, for our communities, and creating healthy spaces for us. And I think that education can start just as early as kindergarten, first grade. You know, young people should understand there's a value in old McDonald. Instead of him just working to put stuff in our grocery store, there's value in this farmer working our lands to keep the environment safe. And the environment is more than just the air that we breathe, but the food that we eat, the clothes we wear, the products that help define our lives. How do we give those value more so than what is a paycheck that's given to a person?
Dwayne, I think we have some other questions.
Okay, so this is a question from Elijah. So how do you envision Black cotton's impact in both the local and the global agricultural industries in the coming years?
Well, locally, I have been able to, show people, I would say, just in the United States, that cotton has more values to Black people than just the negative tropes of we was enslaved to pick cotton. No, there's a lot of community values that was created around the cotton fields. There's a lot of people from family to family that helped make money to put food on tables, send kids to colleges. It's a lot of value inside of cotton that's not just this negative trope of a white master making a Black person or a Black family work for them. Internationally, I believe that there's value in Black people and people of color understanding the value of our place and creating products. The things that we take for granted are so valuable to us that I think internationally, Black cotton can show our collective community that we have a space in the agricultural seat. We have a space at the agriculture table. We have a seat at that table, and we should sit there with pride as kings and queens, not just as workers.
We have another question, but in between that, Julius, can you give everyone a landscape of your partnerships with different manufacturers that's using your cotton today?
Right now, we have a partnership with Vans Shoe Brand. They are a part of the VF company. So VF owns Timberland, Vans, North Face. There's potential deals in the makings for us to partner with North Face to create some clothing products. We're looking at hoodies. So that's one aspect. There's some different supermarkets that's looking at our home decor to put in their floral sections. So like fresh market. So we have some things in mind that we're planning on doing. We're just taking it one small space at a time. I'm not no big banker or investment guru, so I work under the budgets that I have. But things is constantly growing, and I'm thankful and blessed by that.
Are you saying that on my benefit?
No, just talking in general.
So with that, what has been some of the feedback about your cotton compared to some of the other cotton, some of the people that you're working with? What have they said?
Well, one
I
thing,
want you to promote your cotton because I think it's fantastic.
well, there's a home decoration component around the United States, like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, these type of stores. Typically, their cotton products is not real cotton that comes out of a field, but it's something made in Asia that looks like cotton. And people needs to have real cotton in their hand. The real cotton has the value. It's the connection to the land. Something that's processed is not going to be the same as something that comes directly out the field. And our cotton, when you
Julius, can you go back and really explain that? Because even I didn't know. When you was so how should cotton feel, and what is the difference when you say it's manufactured cotton versus the real cotton? Just break that down.
Yeah, the stuff that they sell, at Hobby Lobby is literally made cotton like in factories and it's like you could tell the gluing, and it's like literally pieced together stuff that look like cotton that comes out of a field, but it's not the real stuff. It don't even have seeds in it. So like a lot of people appreciate my product because it actually has the real seeds in it that you can take the seeds out and grow your own plants. So that's this natural connection that comes from real cotton. That's our black cotton that comes out of our black owned soil that my family has been working for hundreds of years now.
That's good information to know. I didn't know that. Okay, and we have another question. Karen.
So Mr. Tillery, my question for you is, with the rise of global warming and the way fertile land is just diminishing from availability, as well as large companies owning so much farmland, where do you see the future of farming, and how would it affect like small to medium farmers, knowing that possible future they won't even have enough land to do what they want to do?
I don't believe the big companies or bigger companies are going to be able to buy all of the land. I believe they have, even as they have a good amount of land right now, there's going to be families that's just not going to want to sell what has been in their family. And no matter how small your acreage is, there's still efficiencies that could be made. And people are way more connected now through the internet. The small business person with the internet now has a lot of power compared to the generation before the internet. We have to utilize this internet to be able to take small plots of land, but connect it all across the world. And that's really what's going to happen now, and even more so in the future.
Perfect. Okay, so Dwayne, I'll kick it back over to you to wrap up.
Okay, so throughout the whole interview, my mind kept on bothering me of how your guys went from 1 million farmers to 33,000. And my question to you is regarding your community, what do you think was the main cause for people selling their farmland? Was it due to land grabbing or other external factors?
Well, I think that there was so many negative tropes around farming that people thought they was better than farming. There's so many people that their story was, I had to get away from the farm. It's not enough money for me. It's not enough convenience of the city lifestyle. And I think that sometimes we have to slow down as people individually and just understand the value of fresh air, understand the value of working hard to be able to make a product that has integrity to it. Like we have to be, as people, have to understand that we can have value without it being determined by some, rich person giving us a salary. Working in farms or working in office buildings has pulled a lot of people away from the farm. And there's nothing wrong with making a good life, but to sustain a family farm, someone's going to have to make the sacrifice and typically if your family sacrifice together, you can all push forward.
No, thank you. And thank you so much. Dwayne, did you have another question before I do the final wrap up?
No, not at all.
Okay. So for first and foremost, Dwayne, I want to thank you for being such a gracious host today. And Julius, thank you for always saying yes whenever we reach out to you. I think today's session, I learned a lot, and hopefully others have learned a lot about just the different ways in which farming or agriculture impacts every facet of our lives, talking about the microeconomics and taking pride in ownership. When you own a farm, that's wealth in so many aspects, and it's not dirty. It is actually growth. It's inspiring. And I told some folks yesterday, actually, I was talking to the team, and I said there's a lot of benefits towards gardening. So people are starting to see the health benefits around that, not just growing your own food, but just the physical activity. But I said, when people say, go and touch some grass, one, they're saying it to be funny, but also to touch grass is actually healing and it's healthy. But farming is something that is, as you say, you have negative connotations around it. There's a lot of technology that's out there to make sure that a lot of our farmers, they can connect across the world. And as you say, it doesn't matter how large or small your crop is. When you're growing it the right way and you're doing healthy crops, it can be beneficial to everyone and it can be profitable. So thank you so much for imparting your knowledge, and best of luck with your conversation tomorrow with Vice President Kamala Harris and her team. And I'm quite sure that some of the things that we talked about today, you're going to be talking to her about tomorrow. So without further ado, if there's no other questions, then we're going to conclude this final and last masterclass that we have for the year. We look forward to seeing you in 2025, and we're certainly looking forward to having Mr. Julius Tillery, and all the best to you, your farmers. This is a very active season, and God bless to all those people that have been impacted in Western North Carolina, Georgia, as well as Florida, and all those small businesses and farmers that's out there. We wish you all the best, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the